Have you ever heard laughter in an empty room? Picture yourself alone in a desert mansion, the air heavy with the smell of old wood and whiskey, when a bottle tips over on its own. Could it be that O.L. Blue Eyes himself never really left Palm Springs? Tonight, we step into the sun-soaked world of Frank Sinatra, one of America's most legendary entertainers. Born December 12, 1915, Frank Sinatra, the voice, defined 20th century music with hits like My Way and Fly Me to the Moon. But his heart always returned to his Palm Springs compound, the house he called the Compound, where he hosted wild parties, laughed with friends, and lived like a king of the desert. He passed away in 1998, but according to new owners, staff, and even a few startled guests, Sinatra's spirit is still holding court, and maybe still pouring drinks. Imagine driving into Palm Springs at dusk. The San Jacinto Mountains glow red in the setting sun. The air is warm, the desert quiet except for a soft wind rustling the palms. Then down a winding road, you see it, Sinatra's compound. Low, sprawling mid-century buildings, a piano in the main room, the faint echo of music if you listen hard enough. It's beautiful, but it feels alive, as though it's waiting for a host to return. The first report came from a caretaker shortly after new owners took over. He was locking up one night when he heard faint singing coming from the living room. At first, he thought it was the radio, but there was no music playing, just a man's voice, low and smooth, humming Strangers in the Night. He walked in, heart pounding. The room was empty, but on the bar, a bottle of Jack Daniels had fallen over, whiskey slowly spreading across the counter like a toast from the other side. It didn't stop there. Staff began to notice small, strange things. Glasses clinking when no one was near the bar. Lights flickering in time to music, as if the house itself was keeping rhythm. One guest swore the old record player turned itself on one night, playing Sinatra's own vinyl. And then there was the pool. Late at night, security cameras sometimes caught ripples spreading across the water, though there was no wind. One owner joked that maybe Frank was still throwing parties, just with different guests now. Among all the stories, one detail repeats again and again: the whiskey bottle. Guests say they found it moved to the center of the bar in the morning, though no one touched it. Sometimes it's tipped over, just enough to leave a smell in the air, like Sinatra's signature drink waiting for him. And here's the chilling part. When the owners tried to remove alcohol from the house during a renovation, strange things started happening. Appliances broke. Music blared in the middle of the night. One worker swore he heard a man laugh, deep, amused, just over his shoulder. The bottles were quietly brought back, and the disturbances stopped. Walk to the house today, and you can feel it, a kind of electric energy. The bar still gleams. The piano still waits. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear ice clinking in a glass, smell cigarette smoke curling through the air. It's not a frightening presence. If anything, it feels playful, like a host making sure his guests are entertained. Even the desert nights seem to join in. Crickets sing. The stars shine bright over the mountains. And sometimes, just sometimes, people swear they hear Sinatra singing softly, as if the desert itself is his last stage. There's something strangely comforting about Sinatra's ghost. Most haunted house stories are filled with fear, shadows, screams, cold dread. But this one feels like a party that never ended. Maybe Sinatra loved this place too much to leave it behind. Maybe he comes back to check on his house, pour himself a drink, sing a verse or two. Or maybe the house itself remembers him and plays his presence back, like a needle on a record that never stops spinning. Picture this. A quiet evening, the house bathed in soft yellow light. A new owner sits at the piano, striking a single key. Somewhere in the corner of the room, a bottle gently tips, landing with a soft thunk. And then, the faintest sound, a man's laugh, low and warm, filling the air for just a moment before vanishing into silence. It's enough to make you smile instead of shiver, because if any ghost would keep the music playing, it would be Frank Sinatra, The legend of Frank Sinatra's ghost isn't about fear. It's about presence. It's about a man who gave so much joy in life that he might still be giving it long after he's gone. The whiskey bottle on the bar, the flickering lights, the phantom music. Maybe it's just the desert playing tricks. Or maybe, just maybe, it's Sinatra reminding us that the show must go on. And perhaps that's why these stories keep being told. Because they're not just about a ghost. They're about memory, music, and the way some spirits refuse to fade. If this story made you smile or made you pour a drink for OL Blue Eyes, hit that like button. Share this with someone who loves Sinatra or haunted legends. And tell me in the comments, if you could have one last conversation with Frank Sinatra, what song would you ask him to sing? Subscribe for more haunted histories and legends of music's greatest icons. Until next time, keep listening. You never know who might be singing along.